If anybody else noticed now Zoom is telling us to work happy.
Oh, yeah,
But I've never seen that before. Hi.
Okay, so we're at 6 o'clock and we're going to call board meeting number 993 to order. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and Sami Nations. We have an agenda recommendation. That the agenda of this meeting be approved. Thank you, Cynthia. Second for that. Thank you. Dana.
Second, perfect.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, then that is carried. Now there's a couple sets of minutes.
That the minutes of the board meeting held on April 9th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Lisa. A second for that. Thank you, Melissa. Any objections? Okay, hearing none, and that's carried. One more.
That the summary minutes of the in-camera board meeting held on April 9th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Lisa. A second for that. Melissa. Any objections? Hearing none, then move on to chairperson's remarks. So I just got a couple of items since we last met. The most exciting piece, I would say, was when we went to our AGM, the BC School Trustees Association AGM. We did a day and a half or I guess one day, an afternoon and then a morning of different sessions. We had some keynote speakers and we attended a PB dinner and reception, which was all amazing. Chris and I presented for 4 separate occasions on Bill 40 and the letting go. And so it was an amazing turnout and an amazing AGM, and it just seemed to keep getting better in my view. We also had our agenda setting last week. And earlier this week, we had our SSTA and SD48 liaison meetings. And so those went well. And there must be other things, but that's all I can think about right now. So are there any trustee remarks? Melissa?
Yeah, I just want to say that I was lucky enough to go to the school learning plans at Garibaldi Elementary, where we saw some very fresh chicks in a kindergarten class, which was so exciting. So thank you to Cam and Nina and all of the students and teachers for having us there, as well as Brackendale Elementary, which is where I went to school. So it's always so fun to go there. And remember walking the halls. We were greeted with a beautiful song in the collab area. And it was all around a really great day. And then I went to the capstone presentation at Hermiton Secondary. And you'll remember, I think it was the last meeting, the capstone was presented for us a couple meetings ago for Whistler. And they used to present, the kids used to present in front of the teachers. And the capstone is part of the graduation projects where they have a big presentation on something that's they're working on, either involved into the community, something they're really good at, or they're working towards. And the kids blew me away. The stuff that they do that you really don't know. Like there's one kid that I've met a few times who is a scuba diver and has all of these certificates to be able to do that. And he wants to go into scuba diving for a career. And then we had one young woman who wrote her own poetry book, which was so beautiful. We had an artist there who made a book on how to paint. And I was like, I would buy this. It was so well done. We had photography, a few people who made their own clothes. Like the talent is just, it's so great to see sewing coming back. Snowcat operations was my kid. We had one young woman who did a whole business plan for a future cafe and made her own logo. We were like, we can't wait to sit here and have coffee one day.
Nice.
Website development, bull riding. It was just, the whole night was so well done. And so props to Tanya and the PSS crew and all of those teenagers, those grads. You guys absolutely blew it in the park, and I'm so proud of them. So thank you for opening that up for us parents and public to go in and see.
Thank you. Lisa?
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. I wanted to report out that I was able to attend the BCSTA on the final day for many of the motions. And today I was actually tickled pink. I got to go to Garibaldi Highlands this morning and see the bike rodeo, where all things education in bikes, headed up by one of their amazing teachers, Lisa. Forgive me, April, you can help me with last names. It starts with an M.
Mancini.
And Manzini, she did an amazing job. The students were super, super helpful. The older buddies were looking after the younger buddies. I actually got to escort one of the young ladies through the rodeo and build a little relationship with that young lady. The young men that were doing the bike tune-up and doing the checklist to make sure the kids all had their reflectors and their brakes and checking everything. They're like, these bikes are in great condition and check this. They were so attentive to the whole process and making sure that the younger kids had safe equipment. It was heartwarming. It was really well done. The RCMP attended, as well as the Squamish bylaw. They sent 2 officers up to assist as well. And the Rotary Club sent a bunch of volunteers as well. And the kids got to practice walking their bikes across a crosswalk if they're coming from a sidewalk. If they're on the road, they stop and they can keep pedaling if they're in the intersection. So the students and the kids, it was fantastic. So big shout out to Garibaldi Highlands for thanking you to include me in that morning. I wish I had much longer, but thank you. It was great.
Thank you, Lisa. Celeste?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. I just, excuse me, wanted to report out that I had the opportunity to attend the HSS Musical Theater presentation of High School Musical 2 over the weekend. It was produced and put together by Fran Booth and Paula Johnson with the support of other staff and many parent volunteers as well. And I just want to recognize I make it a point to go every year, and the quality of arts education that children are receiving through HSS right now. We are so very lucky to have many skilled teachers there who are going above and beyond for the children attending that school. So it was another amazing honor. My apologies, my dog's in the background. And I just wanted to report out on our last VPAC meeting that was on April 22nd. We discussed, or the parents who attended discussed, Chris and I are always in attendance. They discussed how youth sports associations within the district can work more collaboratively with schools. The parents always have a keen interest in data on how the growth or decline in growth or decline that the district is experiencing. So lots of good discussion at that meeting. A discussion about a presentation on the movie Screenagers through the PACs. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something, so I'll let Chris report out on it, but just really appreciate being able to attend the DPAC meetings and for the engagement of the parents that are attending those meetings.
Celeste, any other trustee remarks?
Can I go ahead? Okay, sure, thanks. A lot of what I could talk about has already been covered, but first I was also at the AGM. It was an excellent learning opportunity. It was fantastic. I think every year I say I think it was one of the best, but I really think this year the keynote speaker was one of the best I've ever seen. So lots of thanks to the people at BCSDA who put on that event. I attended the Valley Cliff Elementary School Learning Plan. And I think there was many good things, including their numeracy work, their outdoor learning space, which they call something else. TLC, the living garden,
Yeah.
it's in my notes. I'll double check it. A cute acronym. Fantastic. But my favorite part was their KFC, which was the Kindness and Friendship Committee. Students who volunteered to help promote kindness and friendship on the playground. And they seemed so empowered and just absolutely engaged. And I thought it was just a fantastic program. I really enjoyed that amongst many of the other things that happened at the school. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the kids at Whistler High School who put on the play Carrie. There was lots of press around it. There was some incredible statements made by the students about how grateful they were to have these opportunities to show their skills and their talents and their abilities, and thank their teacher for bringing them all together as a strong group. Many of the people who were in the theater program last year or performed in the play last year had moved on, and there was concern that the younger ones wouldn't be able to rise up and be the leaders that they needed, and they did, and they were. And that was the comments like that were made in the Peak newspaper. And so it was really lovely to see, like Celeste said, that the arts are alive and well in our schools, and it was fantastic. And then, anyway, that's it.
Thank you. You have someone, April?
Yeah, I too attended the AGM for 4 days because of
Oh,
the
you went the extra.
PLC work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the PLC, just to put a shout out for that team, they go above and beyond to create learning opportunities that are timely, depending on what year of a trustee we are in, whether it's the first year, compared to the fourth year. It's very thoughtfully done. They really respond well to feedback. So anybody who enjoyed it should probably try to give feedback to Gordon and the team. I also want to shout out to the CUPE. They provide a beautiful reception for us every year, and it's very much appreciated. So I don't know how to send that message to CUPE, but apart from saying it here publicly, it's much appreciated. We had a beautiful evening, very relaxed atmosphere, and amazing food. So in addition, I also was at STATMUS this year for their learning plan, and was witness to a healing ceremony that was so beautiful and so well accepted in the building. And the children were very comfortable with that happening. And it felt a very warm and welcoming place. The principal there is only in his first year as a principal up there, and he is responding to community by moving it back to a more culturally based, land-based learning experience, because that is what the children in his building are connecting to and are feeling proud and are feeling proud about themselves. And it's a very welcoming environment, and I would encourage many children to attend that building for that kind of learning. I also have some concerns about what's happening with the ministry, and it came to my attention recently that the ministry has put out a document that's it's a phonological based awareness, or a phonological based growth chart, or I can't think of those, flow chart that's very scripted. And having worked on myself, being a part of writing the literacy curriculum that was written in direct opposition to that type of assessment, I'm concerned. Also concerned that we've been 10 years with the curriculum and have yet to see an appropriate assessment for a competency-based curriculum. So in that, I have prepared a statement, and I'm hoping at the end of the statement that I could add this as an agenda item for the June meeting. So I'm just going to read the statement as I've written it. Be it resolved that the Sea to Sky School Board affirm its support for BC's current competency-based curriculum and urge the Ministry of Education to continue advancing modern, inclusive, and future-focused education rather than reverting to a traditional back-to-basics model. The BC curriculum is designed to prepare students for a complex and changing world by emphasizing critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. It supports personalized and culturally responsive learning that reflects the diverse needs of today's students. Calls to return to a traditional back-to-basics approach represents a move toward a colonial model of education, one that emphasizes rote memorization, compliance, and narrow academic outcomes, often at the expense of equity, Indigenous ways of knowing, and student engagement. Reverting to such a model undermines decades of progress in building a more inclusive, relevant, and empowering public education system. The Sea to Sky School Board believes strongly in continuing to move education forward and not backward. And that last statement, I feel very comfortable saying, because Sea to Sky wrote in the Ed Plan 2 years prior to the release of the curriculum, to the release of the competency-based curriculum. We were ahead of the province in this thinking. And I am nervous, frustrated. I can't think of enough verbs to describe how I feel about what I am seeing as a move back towards a more traditional base. So as a trustee for School District 48, I would like to put this on agenda and send a letter like this to the Ministry of Education. I would also like to add it to the agenda when we as a school board meet with the Ministry of Education. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, April. I'll add one little piece there is that we also, I believe, had staff seconded to work on ministry's plan as well. Back then. Okay, the trustee remarks. So let me go on to superintendent's remarks.
All right, thank you very much. I've got a few things to get through, so bear with me. First, I'll just follow up. Thank you, Celeste, that you covered most of the stuff at DPAC. One point I'll add is that was our last meeting of this school year, and so I just wanted to thank. Oh no, wait, one more. Sorry, with AGM.
Yeah.
So reverse that part, and I'll state one of the items that we've been talking about, and that I'm really I want to thank them for their engagement with accessibility committee, and I put the ask out for some parent involvement, and DPAC took that on and is taking that on in terms of finding some members to step forward, and will do their best to ensure that we have representation from all three communities, which I'm really happy to support. So I just want to publicly thank DPAC for their ongoing engagement in this and all things to do with the district. It's a fantastic committed group of parents, and the turnout has also been really nice to see. So I'll thank them for their work following the next meeting, which I think is before the final board meeting. So I'll do it then. I'm going to just step back a little bit and highlight some things happening in the month of May, and how, of course, they relate to Sea to Sky. So I want to acknowledge that May 5th was Red Dress Day, a national day of awareness and action, honoring missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people. So I hope folks have noticed around the Sea to Sky, there's lots of red dresses and other symbols up and around the community as well, obviously in our schools. And again, as I say every time, just reminding the public that we do publish and provide resources for all the observances that we make, whether they're local, national, or international. And just highly encourage people to go to our website and click on the links. And parents out there, ask your kids what they're learning about these very important issues. I'll also share that earlier this month, May 5th to the 7th, was Canadian Mental Health Week. And this year's theme, Unmasking Mental Health, asked us to look beyond the surface and see the people behind their stories and struggles. We know in the media, we do hear, unfortunately, about lots of issues related to mental health. And again, I would be remiss not to again acknowledge our heartfelt sympathy for all those affected by the incident during the Philippine festivals that happened in Vancouver, and the connection to the individual suffering from mental health concerns. So I think it's just a powerful reminder, right? Leading with empathy and reducing stigma around mental health. The ministry released the Mental Health Week School Toolkit, which again was published on our website and shared widely. So again, encouraging folks to take a look, not just at that website or that resource, but at all the resources available, to staff, to parents, to students, to families, which folks can find under the requisite tabs on the website, whether that's families or staff and students. And I think I'll also take this moment to acknowledge and thank the members of our very own mental health in schools team in our district. That's Claire Henbury, Bree Schultz, Tara Smith, Katie Zacklin, all fantastic counselors in our district, and Philip Clark, who's our Director of Learning Services. They recently attended a 2-day conference, the Mental Health in Schools conference, which gathered all the teams across the province together for some real important learning and updates in terms of what the ministry is doing now and in the future. And we look forward to hearing and receiving that information and more resources to come. And again, I will also remind the public and thank the board for the ongoing support for the Well at Work initiative. So the board approved monies to continue with Well at Work, which is specifically for staff wellness, and we continue to work with staff. And you mentioned the SSTA liaison earlier. That was one of the topics that was brought up, and we continue to work together on that initiative. So thank you for continued support. And then starting May 25th, we'll be joining communities across Canada in celebrating National Accessibility, capital A, or Ability Week. And this is inspired by Rick Hansen's Man in Motion tour. And it again highlights the accomplishments of folks with disabilities and the ongoing need to keep in mind the importance of inclusive, accessible spaces. And that reminds me again about our accessibility plan and the tool for the public to please indicate if you have concerns around our district or around our buildings, around curriculum, around accessibility. That is a beautiful tool for bringing that to our attention. We do look at that regularly and bring it to our accessibility committee meetings. And finally, let's scroll on down. I wanted to briefly just again share my thanks to the board. I know I said it earlier in private, but I think it's important in public to share that I had a health concern during the 3 days of the BCSTA conference concerning my eye. And the board was very, very supportive of me and actually encouraged me to get very timely medical attention, which had I not, would have had a much and more dour outcome. So I think it's appropriate sometimes in public to also thank folks around the table that support you and lift you up. So thank you to the board for that. Oh, and I missed the Terry Fox School Run. That's the other piece. We get the report from Terry Fox almost like a year later. So I can share that during last year's Terry Fox School Run, We raised an impressive $22,693.22 during that event. So again, the Terry Fox Foundation thanks us. They sent a lovely letter of gratitude to the district, and wanted to thank everyone who participated and those that so generously dedicated, donated to cancer research. Thank you very much.
Hey, awesome. Thank you.
So one more thing, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
One more. I also wanted to thank Jeanette Honor, right? At Spring Creek.
That's right, yeah.
For Spring Creek. We were, she invited senior staff and the board to a wonderful opportunity tomorrow night at Worcester Secondary. The kids will be presenting at the high school a TED Talk, a speaker's spotlight. And we do have a retirement for all of our retiring staff tomorrow. So we're unable to attend, but I want to just thank Jeanette and the team there for their work and for inviting us. And I appreciate the invite and keep them coming, because we love to come to events when we can. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. April, the piece.
Because I wanted to say, okay, in addition, I was up at Beverly Highlands.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
They had a naming ceremony for, not for their school, but for their mascot. So they, up until when the Beverly Highlands was first made, they were the Cougars, and now they are the Chakaya, the Wolves. And it was an honoring ceremony. I was impressed, beyond impressed, with the children in that gymnasium, how well they listened, how connected they were to what was happening. It was an honoring ceremony of the artists and Lisa Manzini, who did a lot of work towards making that happen. And so there were four people honored in I think it was a potlatch, apart from I was part with Paul. There wasn't food, but the rest of the ceremony was very potlatch oriented. And what really impressed me was Shar got up, and she was a witness to all that went on. And when she had her turn to speak, she spoke to the children, and she told them that in her culture for many years, potlatch was illegal. And if you had been engaging in what was happening in the gymnasium that day, people would have been arrested. And she said to the children, "Do you think we're doing anything wrong?" And the children all said, "No." "And do you think this is a nice ceremony?" "Yes." So she was able to impart in that moment, like the children had experienced the potlatch, and she was able to teach them in that moment a part of our history and a part of why we need to have reconciliation and truth and reconciliation. And it made me really proud, because I have a 5-year-old grandchild in that group. And so after the event, I said, "So Walter, tell me about what Shar said about potlatch." And he was able to retell me. So I thought to myself, okay, if the 5-year-old in the room got the message, so did all the other children. So I wanted to share that, because I thought it was just one of those really special ceremonies, and I was really lucky enough to be there. Mr. Lorette, as always, sat on my lap.
And if I may, for the public, it actually is it's the most recent thing posted. If you go to our website, right on the first page on the news and events, is a lovely write-up of the ceremony, including many pictures. And thank you. So if I may, I do want to mention the thank you to artist Art Harry, who worked on the mural and the unveilings of the carvings, to Siobhan Joseph for designing the new visual identity, Bev Harry, who was celebrated for providing cultural guidance, and Lisa Mazzini for her ongoing commitment to organizing school sports, fostering team spirit, and supporting students in embodying the Takaya or Wolf identity. Take the moment to share those names as well. Thank you to all of you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for letting me slip in.
Oh, yeah, you betcha. So next up is the Secretary Treasurer.
Hey, I don't have much, but just for the public's information, questions of clarification from the public can be sent to board@sd48.bc.ca. And any questions should be related to board agenda items, and we'll do our best to respond to questions at the end of the day.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so moving on to student staff presentations. I just wanted to let you know that we were to have a presentation on the Food to Go bag initiative by Squamish Elementary School. But as many of you know, our students are very busy, and they had to sacrifice attending here today to participate in something else. And we from them in the near future. So with that, we'll move on. We don't have any receiving delegations. Do we have any trustee items? Okay. I'm never sure the difference either, April. Moving on to board committees. So the committee of the whole met earlier today. And predominantly it's an open meeting. It is recorded. It will be available on the website for anyone who is interested. We were talking about our calendar as we move forward to the end of the school year, which includes the graduations and an upcoming meeting with the new MLA and our Indigenous Ed session that we will be having in June. Many of us spoke, or if not all, during our remarks about the AGM. And so we did have a full debrief earlier on that, and I think most of which was repeated earlier this evening. And then the meeting, we have a meeting request, and again, that's been mentioned tonight already about the meeting with the minister. So with that, there is a recommendation.
The minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on April 9th, 2025 be accepted.
Okay, April, a second for that. Thank you, Cynthia. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, then that brings us to policy, of which we did not have a policy meeting today. So we'll go to finance committee. We did have a finance committee meeting earlier, reporting out on our third quarter, and then also report out on the upcoming budget for 2025-2026. We did not complete the business of that agenda, so I think we do it later. I always mess that up. So we'll be talking about the concluding that business a little later on. And there are some reference materials there. And so that's it for that piece for the moment. We can move to there was no public relations community engagement. That's Celeste, I don't think there was one today, was there?
That's right, nothing.
Okay, thank you. There's no business. Now we'll move into the general section. So the business arising. Information items, ministry updates, and Chris, looks like that's you.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this one slide on the screen just to break up what folks are looking at. And of course, I am connected to this, so it's not showing up there. So give me a second to get this right. My apologies. Share. There we go. That's helpful. Comes. Full screen. Over here. Slideshow. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to share that at a recent all superintendent meetings, which happened periodically with all the SUPs from all 60 districts and the Ministry of Education. They go over a lot of items. Some things are embargoed, some things are ready to be shared. So two things I wanted to, or three areas of focus I wanted to share with the group is again, we spoke about this being mental health very important topic, obviously, and mental health being a focus for the month of May. So in keeping with that, the ministry has updated resources on their website, linking to, again, a number of useful documents. And they're in the process of reorganizing what their website looks like, especially under ERACE, which is under the Safe, Caring, Inclusive Schools framework. When that is complete, I'll probably want to do a presentation on that for the board and for families as well. Folks can go there now and take a look and see some of the changes, but the efforts being made to make it much more manageable, to find things in one place, and to put all areas of vulnerability under one umbrella, and to reinforce the messaging that this is about safe, caring, and inclusive schools for all. So all folks, including adults, feel that they're safe, they belong, and that they matter. So there'll be more updates to come on that. And I will also let the board know that where those updates were also linked to our website and vice versa. We've updated our links as well, so folks can get directly to the new information through our website as well. Some exciting curricular updates. We haven't received any more sort of fulsome resources yet, but we know they're coming. So for the 2025-26 school year, starting next September, in grade 10 social studies, one of the requirements will be the ensuring of the teaching of the Holocaust and the concept of genocide, racial segregation, and the destruction of Hogan's Alley, which, if folks don't know, was a Black Canadian community right where the viaducts are right now. That was cleared, and the community was cleared out to make room for those access points to and from the city of Vancouver. Also to ensure all students learn about the internment of Japanese Canadians during World War II. And I think, if I just comment on that, when the revised curriculum came forward, I think the ministry recognizes that in some of the know, do, understand model and items that students needed to know, there were some pretty significant things that were overlooked and weren't included in the need to know. I want to assure folks that our teachers do teach these subjects and these topics, but now it's been recodified and mandated instruction for all learners. So I think
That was going to be my question, so
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. And then something we've been talking a lot about is where can we ensure that kids are learning about some life-saving techniques and technologies. So there's been lots of debate around whether this would be certification and kids would be required to be certified to learn CPR, or to be certified to be able to use an AED device. But the ministry has recognized that there are lots of logistics around that sort of piece, and lots of debates around age and all those things. So they have settled on learning about CPR. And so there will still be opportunities, as we already provide, for specific courses and whatnot, like our outdoor learning program. Kids do learn some of these life-saving techniques, and you can be certified for CPR. But rather than the ministry determining that all students must be certified, it'll be a certain level of learning about it, and then opportunities provided depending on community context. So we're looking forward to learning more from the ministry, but I know I'm able to share that now, and I'm happy to do so. Folks will also be able to go online and just search ministry curriculum updates, and there's some information on there, but I've captured it here. And then the last thing, each year for the past 3 years, I believe, 4 years, we've been required by districts to submit to the ministry the framework for enhancing student learning, or FESL report, which again is sort of our district's assurance to the ministry that we're paying attention to very important achievement and learning outcomes for kids, from academics to senses of belonging to graduates, etc., especially as they pertain to vulnerable populations. The ministry has determined that rather than requiring a full report every year to be completed and to be submitted to the ministry, we are now moving to a 3-year reporting cycle. So the intervening 2 years will be a district only document that's shared, of course, with the board that is a little bit less comprehensive than what we've been providing you each year. And then in the 3rd year is the more fulsome report to the ministry. And the reason for that, with some, lots of conversation and feedback from the field, was one of the aspects of the framework, if you recall, is to report on changes you have made to address certain situations and issues and how that's having an impact on student learning. And there's been lots of conversation that when you make a significant change or you embark on a new initiative, sometimes you don't get the results in the first year, and it can take a year or two to have that determination is what we're deciding we wanted to do, having the impact that we want. And so how might we want to adjust and change? What ramifications might that be for budgeting if you're investing in, a certain approach? So I think this is a welcome change from the field, because it provides the hope is it provides that breathing space for districts to really get at what they need to get at and provide more summary documents to the board, and then a more fulsome report to the board and ministry in the 3rd year. So when we do our FESL, which we will do in September as I do each year, it will be the condensed version, which is great timing for us, given we have a new strategic plan we'll be working on. So 3 years, we'll actually be able to report, right, potentially out on some of the things we're trying to achieve with the new plan. And I'm assuming more will come from the ministry and probably directly to boards about these updates, but I just received them, so I wanted to share them with you and with the public. And to assure the teachers, any teachers listening, that as soon as we learn out and receive resources and supports for the curriculum updates, we'll pass those along. We don't have them yet.
Thank you. Any questions?
This is a comment that seems so sensible to lengthen the reporting for the vessel. Just the idea of giving change time to settle in and then actually get really good data.
That's it. The worry was people,
Yeah.
some districts may be flipping from one strategy to another, given whatever the data is showing them that year.
Yeah.
And change takes time.
Yeah.
And to do it right, you take the time to do it right. Takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Times.
Okay. See any other hands up, so we can move on to, there's some attachments there for you. And I don't know if there's any correspondence. And so that brings us to items for discussion. And first up, we have the Squamish Volleyball Club report.
So, at the last board meeting, we had a presentation from the Squamish Volleyball Club. And the board had asked us to come back with some more information. So we developed this report back. I wasn't going to pull up the report, but I'll just go through some notes that I made. So the Squamish Volleyball Club has requested a waiver or reduction of fees, depending on which option. We've also asked for a priority rental access. So just so everybody's aware that right now, we try to give younger age groups earlier booking spots so that they're not staying up too late to attend our activities. Okay. And they've also asked if they can store equipment at House on Secondary School. Also, I just wanted the board to be aware that since the April board meeting, the Squamish Volleyball Club reached out to staff and requested to use the school district's charity, registered charity number to apply for the grant. And so just some more information on that. An organization is required to be a registered charity to receive the grant funding from Whistler Blackcomb Foundation, and they aren't considered a registered charity. And we are, our school district is considered a registered charity. And so what does that, I just wanted to let everybody know what that means for us. So they're proposing that the school district would receive funds on behalf of the Squamish Volleyball Club. And the school district would have to cut the check for the grant for the Squamish Volleyball Club for the funds received. So basically that this would make the school district the flow-through organization and putting kind of administrative burden on the school district. And ultimately the responsibility for administering and ensuring compliance with the grants legally and financially would rest with the school district because we'd be the ones receiving the funds. So just wanted everybody to know that that's like something that happened after the book meeting for that organization.
Can I ask a question about that specifically, Danielle?
Mhm.
Do you have a dollar figure associated with that administrative burden, even if it's an estimate?
I don't know, it's hard to say because it's like a lot of discussions and agreement like between senior management and then our QP staff and
Okay.
okay, I can't say, but it's just extra work for sure. Can't say a dollar. Any other questions before I move on? Okay,
Do we do this for anyone else?
we do. There is one other organization that we work with that we do this for, and we do get requests like this often, and like we do like say no. But we do that for Squamish Can because they actually operate our gardens at our schools.
Okay.
So they do it like kind of on behalf of schools. So because we work with them in partnership on the community gardens, we do that for them.
That's a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's a good question though. So key considerations. I'm just gonna highlight what's already in the report. The Squamish Volleyball Club is currently getting a very low cost recovery rate. So that rate just covers the school district expenses. Allowing the reduction of waiver of fees would go against our policy 905. And like I mentioned, the accountability for the grant would reside with the school district. And I think everybody is aware that the school district is facing financial pressures. There are a number of similar groups that use the gym. And if we grant this waiver, we'd be setting a precedent for other organizations to request something similar. In summary, there's three things that they're looking for an answer for. One is if we're willing to, the school district or school board is willing to waive or reduce fees. Number two is if we're willing to allow them priority rental access. And number three is, are we willing to provide our charity number to apply for the grant? So those are the three things that they're looking for an answer to.
Oh, sorry, April.
Yeah, let's read a few questions. I remember in the presentation that they were talking, and like I understand why we do it with Squamish Can because of the support for the gardens, but they were mentioning something about if they get the grant that Howe Sound Secondary would get, I don't know, $25,000 worth of equipment or something like that. Do you remember that piece?
That's right. I think the grant was like in total around $71,000 and 25,000 of that they were saying they were going to donate the equipment.
Right.
And so that's almost equivalent to like 2 years worth of lease.
Does that equate to why we give Can? Like if we're getting a kickback for Howe Sound Secondary, is that similar to why we granted for Can?
No, so for Squamish Can, they're not asking for a reduction or anything like that. They just asked to use their charity number to apply.
Okay, so in terms of charity number, would it be the same? If can we say yes to the charity number because we say yes to Can, which because we get a kickback from Can, we're going to get a kickback here.
There are so many organizations that would like use us to use our charity number. So we're just very particular about which organizations that we say yes to because it is an administrative burden on us.
I get it.
So, and it's not just us, they approach other charities to do the same.
Right.
And so I'd prefer not to open the door unless we like decide it's a huge benefit for the school district.
Is it?
I mean, that's up to the board to decide.
Right.
So,
Okay, but somebody else, because I thought that was second question, so go ahead.
Okay, we can circle back. Cynthia and then Lisa.
Can you tell me just a little bit more about what priority access is? We give younger students earlier time slots, but is there anything else?
Yeah, I have a policy right here. So, the priority is for school use first.
Yeah.
And then second would be community continuing education courses.
Oh,
And then third would be, the next one would be programs that are, for educational staff. Offered, or it's offered, by a recognized and credible community organization, or a licensed childcare provider. The next educational programs provided by a post-secondary institution, recreational programs for youth sponsored by a local government or recognized public post-secondary institution. Recreation program for adults sponsored by local governments or post-secondary institutions, and then activities sponsored by other community groups, and then all other groups.
So where are they?
That's what I thought. So by priority, are they asking
They're
to
asking me to
be
be
first ahead of all of these
I think
others?
so.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too.
And I would interject respectfully, just for information, that what Danielle was reading from is our current
policy 9.
policy.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
if you were to decide that you want to say yes to priority, you would be in contravention of your policy, and therefore would need to make an amendment to the policy to exempt, or just an amendment on the bottom to exempt this specific organization rather than rewriting the policy. But just as Daniel said earlier about going against policy, I believe that's what you were referring, is the priority is already in policy.
Lisa.
Thank you, Rebecca. So the fiscal prudence of things, given budget constraints and precedent setting for me, are two of the biggest. I think I brought up contravention of policy during the initial discussion. So I'm not too sure what you're needing from us conversation wise, Rebecca, for if we're in, are we looking to put a motion forward, have more discussion? What are we, through the chair? What are you?
That we're looking for us to discuss and perhaps make a decision. There are 3 options, and the cost implications listed in the report, that for our consideration. If we decide we want more information, then we can send it back as well and revisit it. This asking to use our charitable number is new. Well, that wasn't the request when it presented initially. So
Yeah.
that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Celeste, I see your hands up.
Yeah, thank you. There were 2 policies. Chris just referenced policy that refers to priority use, but also policy 905, I think, talks about the facility rental fees. So it's really 2 policies. Yep. So that is one thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention, Danielle, the 4th ask is for storage. So there's actually 4 asks. Yeah. So I just want to recognize the important benefit to the community of having the work that this group has done to provide the much needed equipment and to support the youth and community. Given the discussion that we had earlier today about our quarterly financial report, I just can't stress enough how deeply concerned I feel about the economic times that we're coming into and the financial implications for the school district. And I just don't think at this time that I could in good conscience vote in favor of waiving fees for any user group. Not because I think that it is a very worthy cause, but I think that in saying yes to this, we are going to be saying no to the fundamental provision of public education, which is our focus here. And I think we need to be very clear about what is going to be happening in the years to come financially. So with respect to foregoing, tens of thousands of dollars potentially of income, I just don't think that we can do that. However, I hear your caution, Danielle, about the use of the charity number, but if we're looking at ways that we can support this group, and if that would potentially cost in the hundreds of dollars, it's something that I think we should at least give consideration to, given the great benefit to the community. And certainly we should be giving consideration to the storage of the equipment. But in terms of having to amend policy to allow user groups priority access or waived fees, upon reading your report, which was very well written, by the way, and extremely thorough, I just want to thank Christine and all of the people involved in this project. I think that you do such phenomenal work, but we are custodians of this district, and we have to be very, very careful with the district's resources at this time. And so I hope my thoughts are clear and understandable, and really super tough decision that we have to make today.
Celeste? April?
Are we making a motion to that effect? Because I agree with Celeste. I think that we can't support them financially for the reason of policy and for the reason of where we're at with the money. But I agree that the $25,000 gift from, if they are able to secure it in a form of equipment to house on secondary, sounds pretty good. And so the idea of supporting them through something that's not going to cost us a lot of money, like giving them our charity number and allowing them to store their stuff, is probably the best compromise that we can come up with at this time. And I would be more than prepared to second that motion. Second that motion, not the motion.
If we were to offer our charity number for their use at this time, would that impede us from being able to apply for a grant to the same organization in the future, or something else that might happen?
Our schools are always applying for grants to them. It's frequent.
Okay, so it wouldn't be, you receive some, okay.
But I think anyway, I heard you, Danielle, in saying that we are asked often to use our charitable number, and the amount of work that goes behind just in your time. And then the management of receiving money and sending it out and being responsible and accountable for it, because it's our name on it.
Yeah.
It's a little concerning to me, and also the precedent setting of it. It's like, okay, well, then why are you doing it for them and not us? So did I hear you right? That's what I heard? Yep.
That's true. Elena, I'm sure will echo that.
Yeah. Celeste?
Yeah, no, I think for me, just with respect to that, it's the weighing the benefit to the community. There is a great benefit to the community, specifically to our high school students here, and the access to equipment, the amount of money that is represented in that. Presumably, if the equipment will be donated to the school and stored there, and the years to come that will benefit from that, I think that is any use of our charitable number would need to be weighed against what is the benefit to the district and the community. And I would say that the benefit is great in this case.
I hear you. I have no problem with storage at all. I'm just concerned about staff and workload and concerns already. So, Lisa?
Yeah, so I was gonna echo kind of the same thing as Celeste there, but my question would be, are we able to table the decision, Danielle, so that, is there an opportunity for them to be able to do some of the follow-up paperwork? How much of an investment on the paperwork side of things for this are we really anticipating? Is it possible that we tell them they need to administer the dates and deadlines and we have somebody following that up, obviously, but maybe it's a tabling the motion just, or the idea, and going back to staff for a little bit more inquiry on this component of it. I think it's a humongous value add for the youth in our community. And it's, as April said, the compromise. What impact is the charitable number going to put out there?
Melissa?
I think they need to know an answer quickly, from what I remember from the last meeting.
They would like one, but we told them it could be May or June.
And why is the admin booking fee so different for all of these clubs? Like a vary of $27 to $189.
I was looking to see this too. I'm not sure.
27 seems prevalent.
Yeah, we don't know that shit offhand. Know the answer offhand. What I can say is that, like, all of the grants would have to, like, because right now I approve all of the grants agreements, so it's just like another grant that I would have to review and approve. And then I'd have to coordinate with my finance staff to make sure that when the money comes in, because like we get grants like from all over the place, so we'd have to like make sure that they know who it belongs to and that it's going to the right person. So it is definitely extra work, but I can't, I don't think there's anything they could do that would make it better. It is just what it is. Yeah.
Danielle, did you say they have their own charity number? Sorry, I just meant to ask that earlier. They do not.
No, that's why they want to use us. So basically we would be applying for the grant for them because we have the charity number. So it's basically our grant, but we're giving it to them.
So they could not get it without.
That's correct.
Without a charitable number.
Yeah. So they actually are also, sorry, I should have told everybody this. They're also considering you talking to Volleyball BC, because they are a registered charity, to see if they can partner with them if it doesn't work out with us to apply for it.
So if they're asking for our charitable number and in exchange, if they are able to get all of this, then we would have a donation of up to $25,000 worth of equipment.
Yes.
Almost a buck. I think that sounds like a.
Well, we would have use of the equipment that they purchased because
Yeah,
they'll be using it as
great.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they showed us that the equipment that they have at House Sound is in dire need of being
Yes.
replaced.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a great trade-off. I know that it puts a bit of strain on you, and I think it benefits the children.
Okay, I'm just cautioning that if the next group that comes and shows that you've got a few kids that'll benefit, that we may end up having to administer that one as well, because we're.
Well, if they're
But
bringing
we'll do the line
$25,000 worth of soccer equipment, and we need that, then it might be
Yes.
worth
Yeah,
the.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing in the value of this, one iota.
Yeah.
And what it does for the community. I'm just listening to staff as well, saying with their current workload, we're adding to it. And we could potentially be adding to it some more.
Mhm.
And I'll chip in to say, as CEO, if that were to happen, and it was, substantial, then we would be going to the board to say we would like to hire or add X number of hours to help administer these additional grants, which I think would be a fair request. And if you, to your point, if you're balancing that against the monies coming in, then I think it's a value proposition for you to consider. But I know that I would be advocating for some additional hours if it turned out to be an excessive administrative burden, and I think that would be a reasonable request from me to the board.
Celeste? And
Just for clarity, Danielle, we're not talking about needing to hire an additional person. To the burden that would be placed on you for this particular request alone would not require the additional staff to be hired, that kind of thing. It would be additional work, and you're cautioning us against opening the floodgates for many, many more requests like this. But in the instance of this one request, it would not be so much that we would have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, exactly. And there are, like, just so everybody knows too, it is really difficult to get approval to be a charity right now. Like it's years waiting list. They're not opening up the door, like CRA is not just granting that. Like Squamish Can has been waiting for years to get it. Like they're trying to get it too, but they just can't. So it's just really difficult for organizations. So if they can see a way to get it, they will try to.
I just wanted to say, Rebecca, just to acknowledge again the importance of sport in the lives of our youth, and what a great benefit I think this would be to specifically young women in the community. And so I hope the board can consider that in making a decision. And thank you, Danielle, again for all your work.
And I'll restate my position. I am not opposed to this, and I definitely see the benefit. And to sport and to any other activities that we can offer to our children. The only question I had is just the additional burden on staff to do the charitable piece. And then the other piece that I see as well is they're requesting a waiver, like we waive the fees associated. So we may gain $25,000 worth of equipment and provide an opportunity to some of our students. But we're looking at waiving 22 to 26,000. That's what some of
Yeah,
the
but I
options are.
wasn't agreeing to that part.
No,
No.
me neither.
Okay, I didn't hear that, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had your stuff earlier.
I think it would actually be kind of prudent to allow them to see if they had an opportunity to use the charitable status from Volleyball BC before they asked us, because it just seems like that's much more aligned with what they do and who they are.
Then it's coming down.
So sorry, the nature of the process, so I apologize, Celeste, just a quick suggestion, and I'm happy if you want to not follow it. But you're getting into debate, and so what I would say is you actually have 3 separate motions, I would say, that you would want to bring forward. One is charitable donation, one is priority status, and one is the
Fee waiver.
the fee waiver. And so if someone were ready to make a motion on one of those, then you can have the back and forth debate. When you're ready to call the question, have the vote, then move on to the next one. In my mind, this is 3 separate.
Don't forget storage.
If I may. I'm sorry, 4.
4.
4 separate things.
4.
Just because you're getting.
We are. Yeah, right.
Why not,
Yeah.
why not formalize it
Fair.
to move it along
Mhm.
respectfully?
I was ready to make a motion, if you like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to try and do it in a 2-for-1, Chris, if it's not too confusing. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the use of our charitable number or a charity number, as well as storage at Howe Sound Secondary School for the equipment and nothing else.
For Squamish volleyball.
For Squamish volleyball. Thanks.
Okay, so that's the motion. Looking for a second, April seconding. Any discussion?
You have it captured?
Cynthia?
I think those are 2 different things.
Well, the motion was made and seconded.
Yep,
So-
you have to, if it gets
Oh, it can be
defeated,
debated.
then you bring it up.
Oh, that's my debate. That's part of my debate.
Oh.
Can that be part of the,
No, so you seconded a
Oh,
motion
okay.
on the floor, you have to.
Oh, okay.
Down first.
So I think first, Celeste gets the opportunity to speak to the motion.
that is true.
Sorry, I just couldn't get it off mute. So what I'm suggesting is that we approve of the 4 requests, that we approve the use of our charity number and storage of equipment at Howe Sound Secondary and nothing else. And I don't have anything further to say on this other than what we've already discussed.
Any further discussion? Lisa, your hands up?
Yeah, I agree. I think if we we've already heard that the equipment can be stored. The charity number, there is a value add for the students and for the district. So I will be supporting the motion as written.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think now I could say that I don't think I could support the motion as it's written because I think those things are two different ideas. The idea of storage and the idea of using our charity number.
Thank you. Anyone else? April?
So, I'm just for clarity, Cynthia, are you thinking that it's because you could support one but not the other?
Yes.
Okay, I see where you're coming.
Not seeing anyone else, then I agree. I could get behind storage, but I'm not supporting the piece but charitable.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
therefore, I speak in opposition of the motion.
There we go.
Any other? Oh, somebody,
Last word to the person who read the motion.
Earl? Celeste, you get to speak last?
I don't know that I have any more to say other than what we've already said, but I think it would be a huge shame if they were not able to secure this funding due to not having use of a charity number. And I really think that it would be a huge loss for the community. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Thank you. Do we call a question? All those in favor? It's hard to see on there, yeah. It's four in favor, opposed? No abstentions, so that's carried. Okay. And we had two others? Anyone wants to make another motion?
So we got the fee waiver next. Then
We need to make a motion to.
I
someone,
was waiving the fees and it was
Priority access.
priority access.
I can make a motion.
But we don't, do we need one, Rebecca? If. Do we need a motion that
Yeah, we do.
we do? Okay.
Well, if we want to give them priority access and so that over,
separate.
that's,
Yeah. I mean, I think what Lisa's saying is because we have approved the motion of the two, that it naturally negates the other two. But
It
I think
doesn't.
we should be more.
Potentially negates.
Yeah, so maybe we should just, it's not a problem to formalize that, I don't think. I think we're all in agreement, but so I'll just put the motion forward that that the request to prioritize the time and to waive the fees at this time is denied by school district board.
that's your motion?
I hope I worded it right, but yeah.
Does it have to be separate?
Okay.
It's up to
It's up to you, but I,
Chris, you want to say something? Because you didn't say this as a motion, but no, you're turning it up there. The motion was made.
Do you have it? Just waiting for action.
Is there a second for that? Melissa? April, do you want to speak to the motion?
Well, I think we basically said that, and I agree, we don't have the funds. We're in a time of constraint and this is, a fair amount of money and there's an awful lot of groups that also would enjoy having their fees waived. For the priority of time, I mean, I can't imagine that the school district would have to take second place for a concert or whatever because the volleyball is now gets priority. And it's just, I think that there's a lot of groups that would take priority over this age group, over the school, over all of things, and they're probably in the place that they are in the priority list for all of the right reasons.
Any other discussion? Okay, not seeing any, so call a question. All those in favor? That's everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
So where's that bring us? That brings us to the balance of our finance committee. And I thank Elena for staying and was very interested. For coming back to conclude this.
I'm sure she enjoyed the Squamish volleyball stuff too.
In the room.
Much appreciated, so. Remind me, Archie, I think we were at, I think Celeste had a few more questions.
Would anyone like us to pull up the budgets again or? Just let us know.
Yeah, do you want me to just get going? This is just about the budget detail.
I can share the screen again.
I'd like to shift the screen share, please.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Oh. Thank you.
Details, right? Well, I think the last question was about community link or something like that.
Oh, it was about sick leave. Sick leave.
Well, that there was no increase in the budget for leave provisions, and I was just wondering if you could speak to that, please.
You want me to speak to that, Elena?
Here is a leave provisions, 3,290,000. We did increase it in June. Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong column. We increased it in February for the amended budget 24-25. We increased it by 10,000. And currently, it's hard to say how much to increase or decrease. We are trying to figure out where we will land in the end of this current year, because there have been a lot of sicknesses in February and March, and we are still kind of catching up actual numbers to consolidate and analyze and know. When we know more how much leaves we had in 24-25, we will know better how much the budget for 25-26. So we currently, that was the only reason we didn't see huge overages right now, not yet. And we believe that it might be enough, just enough to, at least for preliminary budget.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because we'd seen such a balloon in this cost, whether or not what is presently budgeted is going to be enough. And I know, this last cold and flu season was, my family got very sick as well. So many people were very, very sick. And so the question was whether or not you had predicted what we have now to be enough, or if you think that it's going to get even worse.
Right. Our 1920 amended budget had 1,440,000.
That's right.
And we were just slightly over. And since then, it's right now 3,290,000 in 25-26 preliminary, and we are not even sure it would be enough.
Okay.
The other thing I want to mention too is that we don't, because we're in a bargaining year, we don't know what the teacher cost will look like. So, I mean, we may have to increase it in the amended budget depending on what that looks like as well.
So that one could potentially go up. That's really helpful to know.
The district did a lot of analysis looking into last few years into sick leave, because numbers don't necessarily represent, it gives full information. We looked at the number of days per FTE, and we looked at cost, because cost may increase even so people are taking exactly the same number of days, because salaries go up, benefits go up.
Right.
We separated cost from days, and we saw that there were actually increase in the number of days. Yes, taken. Yeah.
Okay. I just have a few more questions, if I may keep going. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about the increase in ed leadership initiatives under the education heading?
This is F. What is the number?
So that is near the end. It's page 8 of 9. So it's gonna, if you look to F2.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's $178,000 in change.
These initiatives, we usually have some initiatives that district support schools when more help needed beyond what the budget, school budget would look like. If more admin release required or more support for students with diverse needs. And the district always reserves some amount in usually calculated in a like FTE of teachers that we may provide more time, teacher time or EA time for schools when needed. But we would know better in October. But we always reserve this approximately this amount in the preliminary budget. It went down in amended 24-25 because we allocated from other sources and we didn't require that much. But usually these initiatives are district initiatives that support schools as we see needs.
It's the equivalent of 2 FTE. And so it adjusts as the teacher rate adjusts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we don't need to use it, then we reallocate it elsewhere to ensure we're balancing the budget. So that's why you see the changes in the columns where we didn't need the full amount. So we were able to make some savings there. So if you were to go back one more budget from 24-25 P2, where it says 125.90, it would be
That was one.
250. I can't do the math right now. 251.8 or whatever, because that was the cost of 2 FTE at that time. Now the preliminary cost of 2 FTE of teachers is 255.360.
That's super helpful. Thank you, Chris. I often feel like I want to go back a few years when looking at these just to understand the changes. And then I think I just have 2 more questions about governance. So we're going down to, where is governance? It is on page 7 of 9. So can you just remind us, I just think it's important for the public and for us to think about what we're spending on our governance activities. So off the top of your head, can you break down the 120,000 for board activities so that we're reminded about what this includes, please?
Board activities. These are operating spending on all our meetings, board meetings, and all associated admin cost with supporting those meetings.
BCSTA fees.
Okay,
Right.
right.
Membership conferences, like anything that the trustees and had and any other board activities, it all goes in the same.
And the BCSTA is about at least $50,000 of that. Is that right, Danielle? It's quite a big chunk of it.
Can't remember. I thought it was 30,000, but it's around 30,000. And you may recall we hired a consultant this year, so it's also a little bit higher from.
Okay, that's included, all of that. Okay, that's really helpful. And then the last question that I had was just the 15,000 under benefits total in governance. What's that for? Is that the portion of the staff that's attributed to supporting the board, or?
Sorry, Celeste, which
The benefits line, you're almost there, right there.
this
It's-
one? The benefits are increased across the district. So each single
Which one?
travel area has
Yeah.
increased benefits because they're calculated. Even so, there is no increase in FTE, there is no increase in the rates. But all benefits are higher.
What she's asking is what benefits? Under governance, what benefits?
Everything like
Specific to this is trustees.
EI, district portion, employer portion of Canada Pension Plan,
There you go.
employment insurance. We haven't estimated extended benefits increase yet because
There won't be any.
we don't know.
We don't pay into EI and we don't.
It's only
It's only
A portion of Archie's salary is attributed to. Here, just-
Okay.
That's all she's
But
asking.
also part of this is yours. It's like attributed to like whatever deductions are coming off.
Yeah, our Canada pension.
Yeah.
Yeah, FTE 7.3, 7 trustees and 0.3 are she.
Okay, That's perfect. Thank you so much for explaining all of those things. We really appreciate all the work you do. And I'm so very thankful for you taking the time to answer my questions today.
Yeah, Celeste, you asked about some the little legend under this columns. I just added something. Maybe this would be helpful.
Oh, I'm sure I'm looking at this on my phone, so I just have it up on my computer as well, but I will pull it up. I think that anything that can make it more clear for the public is wonderful. And we just appreciate the revisions. Any revisions as we go through this are great. Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you. Appreciate them.
Okay, I don't see any other. So we have a recommendation there.
See.
Elena, can you stop sharing, please?
Oh, down, is it that the Board of Education give this one?
Oh, it disappeared.
No.
Okay, I think I'm there.
No, it's not. I don't have it there.
Hi guys. Is it annual budget bylaw?
No.
Recommendation.
Agenda?
Oh, the finance one.
Would you like me to read that, Rebecca?
Not yet, just one
So
second.
the finance motion was that the board approves it to bring it to this meeting for approval. So I don't know if we were just thinking maybe we can just go right into the bylaw.
You can, because you didn't need to use the motion in the past meeting because you brought it, in my advice is you brought it forward. There's no need to
Okay.
have a motion to bring it here. You already have. So
Okay,
you can
this
go
makes
right to bylaw.
under annual budget. The recommendations down there, did that get read first? Okay, I'm gonna just do it.
No,
No,
Just wait.
We'll see what's ordered.
okay, so there's no motion required and seeing the budget detail any longer. Okay. So then that brings us to bylaws. The first reading of the 2025-2026 annual budget and bylaw. That's what we've already discussed.
And
So,
And just for the public's information, you're welcome to take a look at the finance committee meeting video from earlier today. To see some more information on that.
May
the
I?
previous discussion. Lisa?
There was one question that I had remaining from the first finance meeting was the FTEs for how many teachers, EA staff did I miss that?
That's not something that we prepared. So
Okay,
that's something like we don't have like readily available to provide to you, but we can do that for
okay.
your June board meeting if that's of interest.
Yeah, because on that preliminary budget, it just had the 3 spaces were blank on line 1, 2, and 3 on that operating budget for 2025-26. So just
It's not related to that.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, with that, starts with the annual budget bylaw. If you want to do that.
sure. The bylaw of the Board of Education of School District 48, Sea to Sky, called the board to adopt the annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2025-2026 pursuant to section 113 of the School Act, RSBC 1996 C 412 as amended from time to time, called the Act. Number 1, board has complied with the provisions of the Act respecting the annual budget adopted by this bylaw. Number 2, this bylaw may be cited as School District number 48 Sea to Sky annual budget bylaw for fiscal year 2025-2026. Number 3, the attached Schedule A showing the estimated revenue and expense for the 2025-2026 school fiscal year and the total budget bylaw amount of $86,984,475 for the 2025-2026 fiscal year was prepared in accordance with the Act. Schedule A and B are adopted as the annual budget of the board of the fiscal year 2025-2026. Read our first time, the 14th day of May 2025. Do you want me to continue with the recommendation?
Yes.
Recommendation that the Board of Education give first reading to school district number 48 Sea to Sky annual budget bylaw for fiscal year 2025-2026 on Schedule A as presented.
Second, Turpin.
April, thank you, Lisa. Any objections? Okay, seeing and hearing none, it's carried. Thank you, April. Do we have any questions of clarification from the public?
Let's see. Oh, nothing there.
Okay. With that, I think we have completed the business of this agenda and we are adjourned at